Hello, beautiful people. It's Ali from the Somebody's Son podcast. First and foremost, please make sure you go out and vote. Your voice matters, so make sure you go out and use it. I think it's amazing to see the feedback you all have given us this season, especially the reviews. Shout out to our 50th reviewer, Mike, out in the Bay Area. We truly appreciate your kind words. This episode is dear to me because the fellas discuss how certain mediums can shift from tools to distractions. I know you'll enjoy the conversation, so be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, give us a 5-star rating, and leave us a review. Thanks for the support and enjoy the episode.
Welcome to another episode of the Somebody's Son podcast, where biting your tongue is never allowed. Young men battle with the pressures of manhood every day. Each episode, we tackle topics that focus on worth, actions, and relationships. Our goal is simple: help men win the war with themselves.
So we still doing good, fellas?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Everybody's doing good?
Yes, sir.
Blessed and highly favored?
Always.
So I want to touch on a topic that essentially just continuing off of our last episode. You had mentioned at the end that the same things that are supposed to empower us as human beings, the same tools that we have to empower us that were created, is essentially becoming distractions for us. And it's very obvious that you're talking about social media.
Of course.
So I just want to dive into that a little bit more because from my personal experience, I do Twitter, I do Instagram like a majority of young people do, as I know you guys most likely do as well. And I've seen, distractions for people in terms of work, in terms of, their personal relationships. I've seen the toxic element that it can, add to people's lives.
Yeah.
The negativity. So can you just speak on that a little bit?
I can't really speak on the social media side. I do think I have a distraction that I struggle with more so, which was work. And I think to your point, what do you do when the outlet or the platform that was supposed to help you to get you to wherever you need to go, fulfilling your purpose, being more financially independent, wealthy, whatever, is also the same tool that's used to distract you from reaching your same purpose? For me, that was work. It wasn't social media. I poured so much into my work job and I care so much around my career and the executives. I did care if they saw me with the master shirt on and things of that nature. And I did that so much that the very people I'm working for to create a better life for, to vacation with and things of that nature, that's what it distracted me from. Work became more of instead of just being a conduit for creating financial, success, it literally became like who I was becoming. So I wasn't spending the quality time with my son. I wasn't spending the quality time with my wife. And I definitely wasn't spending quality time with my creator. And so what I found is that I was in an imbalance. Like I found more glory being in the workplace than any other place on the planet. That's sick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's sick, right?
Yeah.
I think, so to your point around social media, I think other people are using social media in the same way work had became my crutch.
Because distractions are distractions.
Yeah.
No matter what form they come in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it depends on what you hold, what you value. So you say you value, your family time. And if we're talking about distractions in that element, then yes, as an example, work for you would be a thing. But I wouldn't say that, and this is a whole another point that we can cover. I wouldn't say that you seeing work using it as a distraction against those things. I agree, that's sick. I wouldn't say that work being the most valuable thing in your life. I don't think that's an issue.
You don't think
depending on the person.
It's because of where he is in life.
But yeah, depending on the person. That's what I'm saying.
Depending on the person,
depending on the person.
And the intention and the reason why you do the things that you do.
Right,
And
exactly.
as long as that not is blinded. So for your situation, you had to sacrifice time with family in order to progress your career.
Right.
You were doing it for your family, but your family sacrificed. And I think you've gotten to a point in your life now where you're making different decisions. And I don't want to speak for you, but you're making different decisions to make sure that you can have the impact and have the time with your family that you may have missed in the past, and make sure in the future that's what you can do.
Yeah, but I think, and thank you for giving me credit for that, but I think I'm going to be transparent with y'all. I think some men use work as a means to say I'm doing this for my family. And that's what they're able to use that to get away from ultimately what the real issue is. Work was my distraction for fulfilling other responsibilities. So I was okay.
We all gonna sit up in our seats now. Okay.
I was okay.
Because we talking about something.
I was okay with when, my mom would check in, hey, when the last time you prayed or when the last time you went to church? Mom, I'm working. I'm working. Now, I understand the importance of sacrifice and putting in work in the gym, Mamba mentality, grinding it out. I respect that. And yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. What is wrong with that is when you OD on that and then allow that to overflow into other responsibilities you have, but use that as a crutch to say I'm not doing those things because I'm providing. So I have to own that. Some men won't, and when they hear this, they probably gonna be like, he talk about me, but I'm not gonna raise my hand. But I'm gonna be honest with you, I struggle with that.
I know.
Because work gave me so much gratification, and I saw all the financial success I was getting, and yeah, I would go on vacations, but I'm working instead of vacationing. So I wasn't present at all.
And you know what, too? I can say this because I know you. You're naturally inclined to succeed in that arena anyway. And so when you're being rewarded and you do well, you tend to stray towards what what you do well in. And it allows you to avoid working on the things and even reflecting. Before you even get into work, you got to reflect and spend time with the tough stuff.
And I think social media does the same thing. Yeah. I think a lot of people, because of, it's okay to use social media for your business and you using it to try to scale your business, whether you're an artist or a designer or a motivating speaker. But if we're being honest, a lot of people use social media because of the dopamine release it gives them. And so they care so much around the likes. I want you to like me.
Yeah.
And then
response.
Response. I want to, before we touch on the social media aspect of distraction, I just want to bring it back a little bit. So you mentioned work as a distraction. And there is a lot of people, especially that I know, that I'm sure you all know, that they may not know it, but they deal with this same problem. How did you get out of that zone, that thinking?
Well, forced.
Well, there you go. So you had to recognize the problem first.
No, well, I had recognized the problem, but I was cool with putting it off. I was cool with putting it off because I saw the financial gain. I think the reality is I started to really struggle with that, and I had folks telling me that, yo, like, chill, like you're doing a lot. Particularly like my mentor Dre was just like, hey, you need to be more present. And what I'm thankful for is like God has sometimes put you in a situation where you're forced to be present. Right? And so because I was forced to really say, oh, okay, long story short, I thought I was about to transition to another company. That company and I had all the conversations that was needed. I thought they were creating a role. I leave my former company, not on the best of terms, just because of some of the other leaders that left and some of the friction that I had with certain leaders. Right. But I knew I was walking into like the promised land, if you will.
Yeah.
And it didn't click immediately. In fact, it didn't click at all. They were going through a transformation. They said, hey, we're putting this job on hold. And so now I've walked away from something that was giving me a lot of financial reward, thinking I was pivoting into something that was going to give me a lot of financial reward, and neither one of those things have worked out. Then what you going to do? Ain't no work now. What you going to do?
You got nothing but time.
I had time.
Yeah.
I had time on my hands. And so I'm blessed in the sense that I learned from that situation, and God was able to use that to get my attention. But I remember calling Chris and saying, yo, I need a win, bro. Like I need a win. That's the only way I could say it. I was like, I really need a win. When you need a win, trust me, bro, your priorities start to get put back in focus in the way that they're supposed to be. And it's crazy because my home life was perfect.
Yeah.
Once I started devoting time to those things that really mattered, it was peace in my home and chaos all around. So all the other things of how I measured my success externally, I was struggling there, but internally, my marriage has never been stronger. The amount of time me and my son spend, we're vacationing together, just, you know what I mean? Like,
and just to put it all out there, what would you prefer in any scenario? What do you prefer?
Well, I
peace
think
at
that's
home
where,
or the peace
Yeah, the peace at home. And I think that's where Chris was kind of alluding to. Like, my priorities around work have shifted where now I focus more on my time because I saw the gratification I got from spending quality time with friends or with family that level work couldn't give me. And I'll be completely honest with you, my spiritual life has grown exponentially. Like, praying for me is not a burden.
Yeah.
I need it. Like, I look forward to meditation is not a burden for me. We talked about diet before. Like, what I consume with my time, it has shifted. Like, work, I ain't gonna lie, you ever date somebody and for whatever reason y'all go y'all separate ways and you meet back up later on in life just in passing or whatever, and you know, and that person might even know, if y'all were to try to date today, it would never work because that person that would not satisfy you. Like, work doesn't satisfy me the same way it used to.
Facts.
Like, it just doesn't.
Dog.
Don't get me wrong. And the sick part is what Langley said, because of how I'm wired, I'm dope at it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm amazing at work.
I seen it in the
and
line,
it don't
in the
satisfy
habitat.
me
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm
just
grateful for all of us that it happened now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so easy to use. It's so easy to use the excuse of the gratification that you get from working, whether it be money or blah blah blah, as an excuse to say, hey, you know, I can't spend the time with you, and it's just a distraction. Yeah. But I think, and to take this 360 or 180 rather, social media provides people with the same gratification in the form of attention. But it's still distracting. You know what I mean? It's still, I think that a lot of it can be very detrimental in whether it comes to work, whether it comes to, you know, whatever you want to be doing, pursuing goals, spending time with family. I found myself like, you know, tweeting and, you know, in the past, and I'm not so much on Twitter now, but, you know, tweeting and, you know, like focus on likes and all of these things. And then it becomes a distraction to my life. I'm checking Twitter all the time, checking Instagram, all blah, blah, blah.
I feel like you were about to go there too.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we were touching on from previously is how everyone has we should as a human beings have a sense of responsibility to create some kind of impact, to be able to share your experiences with other people, to hopefully they can learn from your mistakes and not make the same ones. Because the less mistakes that we make, the less missteps that happen, we're able to see that progression, whether it be financial, whether it be navigating corporate culture, whether it be relationships, whether it be, you know, love, spiritual. Mm-hmm. Pick a facet in life you can definitely learn from other people.
Yeah.
Right? Now we have the platforms in place that allow us to take our experiences and broadcast them in reaches that are limitless.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But because of that, there is because of the accessibility of it, there's a lot of noise that gets into the way.
Sure.
And it's unfortunate because it's almost to the point where I think it's unintentional. It's not on purpose how we use social media on a broader sense. I think there's some great people out here that's using it for the right reasons, right?
Yeah.
Pick, again, Earn Your Leisure, Prince Donnell. What are some? I want to highlight my ladies. You know
Dana Chanel's cousin.
Yeah,
Jewel Burke from Google.
Absolutely.
What she did with
Jewel.
Park Pick, I mean,
crushed it.
Tristan Walker. I mean, it's Arlen Hamilton. There's plenty of people.
There's plenty of people that
use
using it the right way.
Yeah.
But there's a whole lot more that are not.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
speak on it.
It's really frustrating to me because I always bring back to my people, right? I think that Black Twitter is probably one of the most influential forces in media today. Mm-hmm. I don't have a Twitter, but whenever I hear of it all the time. I hear of it all the time.
I be in the trenches too.
Yeah, like I hear about it, so I know how impactful it is. I understand. I can see how social media molds what content these larger companies put out. If you look at it, if you go to Google and type in anything, you're going to see 20 different outlets talking about the same story right around the same time. Everyone wants that reaction or that view on their platform as opposed to other ones. So it's a rush to get it fast, right? So it's a rush to get it fast. It's a rush, so to broadcast it quickly. It's a rush to respond to it quickly. People are quickly to go on. What is that thing where you look at yourself and talk on the phone? FaceTime or live. People going live and voice their opinion on whatever's happening in the immediacy of it all. And rarely do we have time to take a step back and reflect on what happened, internalize it, and be able to have an output that is mostly positive. A lot of people want to have a craving to go viral, and all it takes is one. It takes one tweet that the right person retweets, takes one post, one video, one something, and then someone has 10 times more followers than they had yesterday. Right?
Yeah. So because the barrier is so low, the barrier to entry is so low, all you gotta do is pick the phone up, download the app, broadcast. There's less thought put into what you're broadcasting.
Yes.
And what that's doing is not only detrimental for yourself, but it's detrimental for the people who are on the other end of. So, but there's a dual responsibility. I need to be responsible for who I'm subscribing to, who I'm following. So, boom, I can't complain about what's out there if I'm choosing to follow the junk. Me as a contributor to the ecosystem needs to be responsible for what I'm putting out there and much more thoughtful about what I'm putting out there. Is my perspective credible? In every topic that arises per what's going on in the news or per what's going on in our culture. No, it's not. And some people will listen to this and be like, well, it doesn't matter. It's not that serious. Yeah, you could argue that, but I could also argue that the fact that we're dealing with a world of misinformation and disinformation is because there's so many people who just don't realize that sometimes you just need to shut up.
Yeah. So it's funny you just said that. So President Obama, within the last week, talked about the misinformation. They were using sound bites from his book that he had read. I forgot which one. I don't know if it was Audacity to Hope or whatever. But the Super PAC was using sound bites from his book, but they were playing visuals of Joe Biden. So it made it appear as if he was dissing Joe Biden. And so that level of disinformation, I love the fact that you mentioned being thoughtful, because I think a lot of times we focus on what you talked about, which is thoughtful and what we send out or broadcast. I agree with you. There's a responsibility, but we also got to be thoughtful in what we consume.
Sure.
I'm sorry, that is sick.
And
I'm just listening to that.
You said what?
And what we give power to, we give power to the negativity. Every time we like it, every time we view it, every time we sit around on platforms like this and talk about the negative things that happen, the shade rooms of the world, whoever, too. We give those things power, and we don't necessarily understand the impact of the power we give people, celebrities, whatever it is. Sometimes a celebrity's opinion is weighted like gold. And it shouldn't be. They're people too. They see life through a filter too. Like, there's a reason why they come up with the ideas or they respond the way they do, because that's their life. And my difficulty is we don't hang our hat on how powerful social media is. And I think it's like a negligence. It's purposeful. I think we purposely refuse to use the platform the way it could be used.
Willful negligence
in our community, and that's the problem that I have. Is we have a platform we can reach out to these kids. When I went to speak at the Boys and Girls Club a few years ago in my hometown, and I just saw how far behind these kids are, because my brother had the fortunate a possibility to go to private school on scholarship. So I see, him interacting with the grandchildren of billionaire families that are well known, throughout the country. And then I go to the Boys and Girls Club in my neighborhood where I grew up, and I see how the kids are different. I see it. And now everyone is born with the phone in their hand. We contribute to the nonsense and to the negativity and things that don't actually matter more than we highlight the positives. And we're doing ourselves a disservice, because we're leaving a trail of breadcrumbs to destruction for the people behind us, because we all rely on what's that phone. We all rely on what we see on that phone. And we need to have more responsibility on how we use the platform, Chris, to your point, because if we don't, we're only breeding complacency. We're only breeding negativity. We're only breeding poor people. We're only going to breed violence and things like that. We perpetuate it every day. We highlight it. We love it in our music. I love rap music. I love hip hop music, but some of it I can't take it. And there's a point. I'm not gonna call any artists. I literally don't want to hear what you have to say. It's like you said that the entire song last time, but it's difficult because that's popular and that's what's easily digested by the masses. Yeah, and then we place a value on that.
So do we have a responsibility to then shine light on those folks that are providing value?
Look, I think
because go ahead.
No, I think, I mean, if you're going to be on it and you care that people are exposed to things that are going to uplift and not destroy, I think a part of that, a part of the way your responsibility may manifest is promoting folks who are doing a great job. But I think, again, your responsibility starts with you more than anything else. And it's not about, oh man, let me make sure I'm promoting Donald because Donald's doing great things. Like, that's great. But again, it's like, it starts here. And organically, if you get your well-due praise, then absolutely. But again, it starts here.
I respect that.
But let's talk about scalability and how do you influence a community of people without using the tools that are in place for you to do so? When there's other distractions involved, like how do you break through it? How do you cut through the noise? I don't really know the answer to that question.
Well, I think one way you see is people trying to reset conditions. So even regardless of who has access to the phone or not, can I reset the conditions of the environment? I think that's the phenomenal thing around Nipsey and even Kobe Bryant is Nipsey was resetting the conditions of Crenshaw by demonstrating to them, you can be from this neighborhood, be a owner in this neighborhood, and in our shop, we gonna give you nice, dope clothing, but we gonna be respectful to women, and it won't be drug slinging outside, and we won't be killing one another. To me, he was resetting the conditions. He said, forget what y'all doing on the phone. That's cool, I can impact you there. Because some of the clips that even come out, like him talking about, I'm not that special. I just didn't quit. So he even leveraged the platforms the right way. But I think they were resetting the conditions. And I think that's where I would love to see more of us play is we can't change what we can't change. That's fine. And try, like, if some people don't want to change and embrace that responsibility, that's fine. But you can help reset conditions. To me, Kobe was resetting the conditions of athletes. He recognized only 500 of us at any given time are even playing in the NBA. So how am I going to teach you better life skills in books that you would read as you come up? So whether you have the jump shot or not, you can still be Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant, either the shooting guard or Kobe Bryant, the venture capitalist.
How do you get the book that Kobe Bryant wrote into the hands of the kids need the most?
Well, what I think he was just essentially touching on is it's less of you can go around social media to do that by doing essentially what Nipsey did. And that starts with less of the social media aspect and more of doing
the work.
Doing the work.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
actually doing it. But I think part of the problem that you're exactly pointing to is people aren't getting to the work because of social media. You know what I mean? And but I definitely I agree with you 100% because you look at the and rest in peace to Nipsey, by the way. You look at the effect that he had on that neighborhood and the effect that he had on people there. Now me, you, him, and him, we talking about Nipsey in a whole different perspective. All the things that he's done. Now, okay, we can go to Southeast DC and open up places here, buy real estate here and put people on the game and things of that nature. Or if you're Kobe Bryant, getting those kids with books, you know what I mean? Like, there's marketing involved in that, I'm sure, aspect on social media that takes place. But, I think for the book and we can take this to any perspective, I think doing it and then showing the world that you do it in a positive light, I think that's the most beneficial thing. You know what I mean? Like that has the greatest impact. We just talked about Nipsey. I mean, like one of my goals is to open up schools and in low income neighborhoods. And
I was inspired by Nipsey because he did it and I saw it. And I did see it through social media though.
Or even like Vector 90, like the co-working space in tech that he invested in. I do think this pivots to a great conversation that I want to get to. You kind of talked about this a little bit, the difference between impact and legacy. Whack 100 said that Nipsey Hussle is not a legend right now. And he basically essentially said, I'm paraphrasing, but he essentially said, if you look at the body of work that he put out, he hadn't either put out enough body of work or it hasn't been so much time since that body of work for us to designate him legend status. And so it made me, when you were talking, it just made me think about what you said, the difference between impact and legacy. I would assume that legends have a legacy just based on the root word, right? But is there a difference? So let's take a break, but think about this. Is there a difference? And if there is a difference, which one is more meaningful?
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Somebody's Son podcast. We encourage you to share this episode with a friend. And remember, on this path called life, you are not alone. Thank you for watching. Until next time.
She liked the way that I finessed it. She stared so long, she let me know.